Hello and welcome back to the Crown Yourself podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Spencer, and I am so honored to have a repeat guest for you, a shining star of the Crown Yourself coaching program. She started working with me back in, 2017? Long ago. And since then, the amazing, talented Bonnie Strati has gone on to win battles, conquer high performance, lead like a badass queen that she is, and for our summer author series, write her first book and publish it. It is out in the world for people to read and enjoy. I literally read it in one sitting. I am so honored to have you back on the podcast, Bonnie Strati.
Thanks, Kim. I'm so happy to be here with you.
So much has changed in releasing this book. And I know from having my own book baby, it is like an initiation. What has getting your message out there in this public way been like for you?
Oof. Wow, just hit me with the question right off the bat. I love it. From working with me that it's always been a a journey for me to write a book and the whole history behind not being able to get my voice out there and slowly but surely um kind of just putting the voice out there. So this book was magical in the making, and the way it came to be was not something that I ever expected, right? Because I've been writing blogs for years and years and years, 8 years probably, because you were the first person that actually got me to actually put a blog out there and kind of get over my initial fears. And so it was that compilation of everything that I've written through the years, the trials, the tribulations, the things that I've gone through. That part of the responses back were people literally saying to me, "Oh my God, I feel the same way." Right. And really discovering that I'm not alone. I'm not alone in writing this book. And then when people read it, to understand that there's other people out there that feel the same way and are going through a lot of the same things that they're going through, and how to kind of navigate and support it along the way.
Now, some of my favorite quotes, because when I remember the first blog that you sent to me back in 2017, and you were like, I'm putting myself out there. And it was so beautiful. And you have such a powerful way with words. I would just want to share some of my favorite quotes from your book, Built Stronger, The Art of Becoming Whole Again. Corruption is often divine. I would venture to say that it is divine. This one just got me like a ton of bricks, especially like coming out of maternity leave, and a maternity leave where I really rested. Like I really rested. And you said rest is romanticized, but rarely respected. And then one favorites was numbing through busy. Like you just are so great with brevity. Like that's not my specialty. I am wordy as hell. But you have these like kapow punchers of like Bonnie quotes that are small and mighty, but they are like numbing through busyness, like brilliant little like punches in the face of wisdom, but like that also give you a warm hug of truth. Because I love that you used a quote from Gloria Steinem: the truth will set you free, but first it's going to piss you off. So, what has pissed you off in your journey to truth?
Oof. Probably all the people that have not been truthful to me. Right. And being like, well, if you were just honest, then it would have hurt a lot less. And literally through this journey, had a recent incident where I gave the person the opportunity and literally said, the truth will set you free. And they still chose to not give me their God's honest truth. And their behavior did not match their words. And it was painful. So if you just speak your truth, you'll alleviate somebody a lot of pain and a lot of heartache. You may have a little bit of guilt in there, but is that really an emotion that we need to have,
Yeah.
right? When we're being respectful of someone else, by giving them how we truly feel inside. So
They're one of my favorite quotes from the book is betrayal is about the other person's inability to live authentically. My question around this is sometimes I could see others from different layers of consciousness choosing to let that be a scapegoat for not taking responsibility for their part in the relationship because of a betrayal. And what does a betrayal show us about the lies that we have been living into, even if it's somebody else's lie?
I think what comes to mind with this question is that most often when people come into our lives, we know that they can be our mirror, right? So the behavior that they're showing us is often a reflection of something that's going on inside of us. We may not be doing that same betrayal, but there's something inside of us that needs to be healed. And that's why that person has come in and shown you that behavior. Not necessarily to piss you off, but more so, as I wrote in the first chapter, to wake you up, right? To wake you up. And if you sit and kind of ponder on it and really kind of dive deeper into what is the underlying reason, what's the underlying cause, or asking yourself the question, what is it inside me that still needs to be healed? Right? Why has this person showed me this behavior?
What were some of the answers that you found along your journey for you?
That everybody's a mirror. Everybody is my mirror. Everybody looks just like me. No.
Well, and the beautiful thing is then you have your golden shadow. You have the golden shadow of those people who you admire, of who inspire you. Those are also your mirror. So it's not just the negative.
No. No, but we always tend to go towards those
True.
negatives because it just kind of sits there
Because we're human.
with the
Because we're
human and
human.
I call it the Jiminy Cricket in one ear and the Tinkerbell in the other. And we need to listen to more to that Tinkerbell, but that Tinkerbell stuff.
What are some of the mirrors that you've had reflected back to you that have allowed for your greatest growth? Because you've had some significant life challenges between the divorce that you opened up on our podcast like the first time 6 years ago, and you're a very private person and you're not somebody who's really out there on social media, out there with visibility. And yet you put out a book that I see so many glimmers and hints of like what I know is your story and those underlying things that were not said. But what were some of those bigger initiations that were like, here's the mirror and now the mirror is cracked? And I want you to share some of your story vulnerably, what you're
Yeah,
comfortable with sharing.
I think I knew. Um, a lot for me has always been about not being good enough, right? And I know I'm not the only person out there that feels this way, and especially in the industry that we're in. You know, we want to help people. We want to help people heal, so we will give so much more of ourselves. So boundaries are often issues for someone like myself. I'm gonna hold it only to myself and not speak for other people, as we will have the tendency to do, like kind of push it away, but for myself. And even even down to, the number of clients that you take in a day, because you just want to serve everyone. Right. And when those boundaries are kind of shattered by someone, or someone's crossing those boundaries, and you start to learn to put them up and say no, right? Or, no, I can't come to see you today. And you say it like, it's like, I can't come. You're texting and you're like, they're going to hate me. They're not going to want to be with me anymore. And then they're like, well, when's your next available appointment? And you're like, well, I should have done this years ago. Like, wow, that was a breath of fresh air. But I was so fearful that, people wouldn't want to work with. I didn't give them all of those times, instead of being that person that was, no, you know what, this is my time, my space. This is when I can give to those people, to those clients, and make the time for them. So boundaries. I think the other thing is not feeling good enough, and being a person who's constantly taking courses, right? I need to learn more. I need to know more. I don't know enough. So getting that that reflection back from people in their behavior. And it might not be in the same respect of um, what I was feeling inside. Theirs might have been different, but it was the same, if that makes sense.
When you put all this into a book, how long did it take you to write your book? I mean,
Essentially, it
aside, if
took,
we weren't to talk about decades, but like actually like fingers to keyboard, write your book, how long did it take?
well, it really was 8 years in the making. And then I will be perfectly honest, a friend of mine wrote a book. He asked me to write the forward. I was so wonderfully thrilled and honored. And I read his book and I was like, well, if he can write a book, like I can write a book. And something you and I had talked about, it was like taking all my walks. So I literally had the writing done per se, but then how I formulated into the book, again, using tools such as AI and being like, okay, let's make this into a book. And so the book itself, compiling it, didn't take as long as one would think, but all the writing that led up to it took years and years of healing and the journey in the writing, because there were plenty of years that I didn't write. I didn't write for years because I didn't feel like I had anything important to say. So then, little tidbit, having lost my other job earlier this year, I sat down and just started writing, like literally for a week straight. I just wrote everything that I was feeling inside. And as it started to come out, and then compiling the book was, then placing a quote here and wanting to be able to give people the grounding techniques or the journal techniques. And then creating the journal book that goes along with it, which was even more fun to create. Like that was really kind of the creative side. That was a lot of fun to make. So
What made
eight
that
years.
super fun?
I think it was being able to pick pictures, and I did hire someone to help me with the editing in the book. She did a beautiful job and the kind of cartoons, and it was fun. It was a lighthearted place in some really heavy content,
Yeah.
because I'm hoping the book gives people the opportunity to take some time, take some space, and just sit and think. And I think that's one of the things one of my sister-in-laws had said to me was being able to just take space and not so that you can start to dive into what it is that you're feeling. Because
What's
we
allowing
so
you to
quickly walk
Oh,
past through
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that space of discomfort, or oh my gosh, is what you said it was like the first line or so in your book. It was close to there where you're like the space in between the parentheses, like waiting for the next sentence. I was like, "Oh my God, Bonnie." Like so good. So I'm not surprised. Like I personally love ChatGPT as a tool to structure all the ideas and creativity. And I think it's wonderful that you leverage that tool to take all the beautiful writing that you've had over the past 8 years. I do want to bring attention back to that moment, or those moments that you experience, even those years that you experienced where you felt like you had nothing important to say. What do you believe now? Do you still believe that? Do you question it on a regular basis? Does that resistance come up still?
I'm more blown away now. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I love that that's set with you. And just to let people know, I still go back and read my book. Right. And there's one line in one of the chapters where I'm talking about, uh, because I tend to see people on a soul level when I look at
Yeah,
them.
same.
So we look at their potential, and it's the remembrance that they are who they are. Like we have to see them for who they are and what they can give us in this moment in time, not what their potential to give us is. And that just continues to echo when I think of certain people in my life, and the challenge of letting go of certain people and being like, they're just not there yet. They're just not there yet. And it's okay. But we want to hang on to that. So no, I don't think that I don't have anything to say. And people have come out of the woodworks telling me that something I posted years ago or connected to them with someone that I had posted about really helped to change their lives. And when someone comes back and says that to you years later, I'm sure you've had this, and I've had it before, where somebody will come to you and be like, "You said something to me like 15 years ago, and it changed my life. And you have no clue that you remember saying it, but you have no clue of the impact that it had on people's lives." So I'm hoping my goal was that I hope to touch one person with the book. If I touched one person, I did my job. So I think I've touched more.
Yes, you have. You have done your job well, and you continue to do it because, like I said earlier, like you never stop promoting your book. Like once there's a book out there, it is a lifelong promotion. I think one of the interesting things for me is, and I've noticed this with a lot of authors as we've done our author interview series and just in working with more authors for our podcast agency with Communication Queens. And I had this myself as well, is like when you birth a book baby, something like physiologically shifts. And I know you're going through a big physiological shift right now. And in many ways, it feels like there is some reflections of like this prima materia, our matter, our material selves, our human form is literally in a space of upgrading through this initiation, like in motherhood, how the body restructures itself and the brain restructures itself to support a woman to mother this baby. Can you speak to the experience that you're currently going through with the book release and now what's happening in your body?
Yes. Well, this is the time that I share the cancer that's in my body. I'm not going to say that I have cancer because I don't want it to define me, that there is cancer in my body that I'm battling right now. And it seemed I had literally had plans to launch the book June 9th. That was astrologically, I think Jupiter was going into whatever, right? And I was told astrologically, like, this is a good day for you.
Yeah.
So, and then discovering the cancer diagnosis, and then being that they moved so quickly with my treatment that my first treatment was June 10th. So then I had it in my head, but again, with little glitches with formatting the book and getting it all, that was the most challenging part of the book, was the whole formatting, which is why I did, bite the bullet and hire somebody to do that work, because I was just stuck. And the release date ended up being June, which was an off treatment week, which I realized that my universe had my back, because it wanted to give me the opportunity to celebrate the book, which is exactly what it was. To launch a book and then not be able to celebrate it, well, that would have been probably one of the worst things of all. Like, I finally did it and I can't release it, or it got on a week that I just didn't feel great, or things like that. So that excitement really helped pump me up, give me a good week, get me excited about the days ahead and what I have to live for.
Yeah. Because you have a lot to live for. I mean, this book has so many beautiful nuggets of wisdom around trusting yourself and believing in yourself. And if you were to preach that message for the rest of your life, what would it be that is like the thing that you want people to take from this book beyond anything else that they could receive?
That we all have it within ourselves, right? It doesn't mean we don't need support or coaching by any means, because that has helped me and many people get through a lot of things. But we really have the power within ourselves. We know ourselves best. And there's lots of times where sometimes we don't want to know that person, or we're like, I don't like that person. But I've been thinking a lot about this lately. It's a lot about perception, right? How how are we perceiving what's going on in our lives? And are we taking that victim mentality, or the woe is me, or this is happening to me, or why don't they like me, or that kind of thing. So if maybe two things. One, that people realize that they have the power within themselves to improve their quality of life. I'm not going to say heal themselves or whatever, because everybody's in a different place. I think the other point was to really be able to sit. I once told somebody a book that I really wanted to write was How to Sit in Your Shit, right? I thought it was a great name for a book. And if anybody steals that from me, might be my second book. But when you're in that, like, really, really difficult time, and for whatever it could be, we're trying to numb, we're trying to run away, we're trying to hide. We don't want to feel that discomfort and that pain, but that discomfort, it tells such a powerful story, right? And it can lead us to those breakthroughs. So just again, people realizing that they have it within themselves, and to give themselves some time and some space to actually feel.
I think it's so easy to, like you said in your book, to numb with busyness. And sometimes it's busyness as in like activity. Cause I remember I learned a very valuable lesson when I was 19 years old. I had two Pilates clients. One who was a super successful lawyer, had two kids, would come to me at like 9 o'clock in the morning, for 9 o'clock at night for training, pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, how do you do this? You're amazing. And then I had another woman who was divorced. Her kids were older. She was fully supported by her ex-spouse. And she was the most stressed out person I still have met to this day. And her mental busyness, like she had a lot of time in her day, but her mental busyness was so crowded with worrying about these things of like napkins for the PTA meetings and like little things, that I think it was so interesting to have that paradox in front of me and seeing so many people confuse busyness with purpose and activity with momentum. And what have you decided on in moving forward from this book, and especially with going through your warrior battle that you're facing right now, that you're creating, like, what are the old beliefs that have popped up for you? And what are the new ones that you're like, "Oh, no, that's a pattern I'm disrupting right now. Like, that gets to end with me, and that is this old story that's regurgitating that no longer serves for who I'm becoming."
What pops into my head, and I said something to my brother a couple weeks ago because we FaceTime every day. He's in Colorado now. And I kind of looked at him and I said, who has it better than me right now, to be honest? I said, I'm working a modified work schedule. I have absolutely no stress in my life because I will not let any stress come in. Just close the door. And I get to take a guilt free nap anytime I want. Right. And people look and they're like, that's the life that I want to live. Okay. I have to go through some warrior treatments, to get it there. I've condensed my schedule down to the number of clients that are foreseeable for me to manage within a day, and knowing that moving forward, I don't want more of that.
Yeah.
Maybe the time and the space now is because I need more recovery, or I'm tired or not feeling so great. But imagine in the future, when I do have that time and space and I am feeling great, the creative things that I can put it into, and build that, the recurring income or things like that give me the freedom of space. I think we're so afraid to claim. And I write about it in the book, to
Mhm.
many different things for many different reasons. And again, oftentimes there are limiting beliefs that we just have to kind of sit down. And I spent many, many years kind of sitting down and thinking about a belief and going, is that my belief? Or is that someone else's? Did I create that belief? Who came up with that? Do I really want to think about that belief? And then, no, I'm going to change it. This is my belief. And had a great client of mine that we were pretty close, and he used to tease me because he used to say, like, in your universe, what's going on today? Because he knew I lived a whole different mindset, and a mindset that I created because it works for me.
Yeah. What would you say is a belief that you would like others to role model from the mindset that you've cultivated?
That it's your mindset to create.
Mm,
right? We talk about not rewriting our story, but writing our next chapters. And in those chapters, you get to write your belief system, whether that works for you in the here and the now. And it doesn't, maybe it worked for you 10 years ago, but you're not who you are 10 years ago. We know ourselves regenerate and we change and everything like that. And we also don't want to be that same person we were 10 years ago because we wouldn't have shown any growth.
yeah. I think, I wanna let you know something. Your book gave me a breakthrough.
Please share.
Do you wanna know?
Of course.
So
I think everybody else does too.
yeah. So, like you said, we all have those beliefs, and my father passed in 2021, and there was a significant season of grief, but also there's an undoing and an unraveling when when your caretaker, one of your primary caretakers passes, of all of the identities of how you have related to them and who you have become and who you've needed to become. I was joking with my husband the other day. I said, "So my dad left, and in order to fill the bigness that he left in my life, I've now created two other children and adopted a puppy and got a whole homestead with 12 chickens, two donkeys, and five goats." Wow, that's influence. But when I was reading your piece on grief, it really made me reflect. And I had this realization, probably from a conversation that I had this morning with my mom, that there were still some areas in the past couple of years through processing grief and dealing with his passing there were still spaces where I still wanted to be the little girl. And over the past few years, I realized I could not. And I mean, I've always been pretty like leader. Like my name means leader, but there's still a space where you want to have that softness. And there were still pieces of me that wanted to be that little girl. And I'm like, no, now I have a little girl. Now I get to raise a leader, but I get to nurture the little girl that I wanted to be nurtured as my daughter and how she needs. So you gave me a breakthrough in like the level and growth of my leadership over the past few years. And I just want to say I'm very grateful for that.
I am grateful that you got a nugget
I
and a
did.
breakthrough. Me too, and I'll give my reasoning because in putting the book out there, I knew it was kind of geared towards people that were struggling and trying to navigate changes, things that were going on in their lives. And kind of in my head, I was like, yeah, it's not really for people that know stuff. Like so so the fact you of all people are coming to me and saying you had a little breakthrough, that touches really, really deeply.
I think that's the space of like, no matter who reads it, what I've found from just working with high performers and high performing leaders for the past 9 years is that leaders who are constantly on a growth path, like yourself, like you are constantly learning and you will pull and glean and grab onto nuggets always because there's always a dialogue of self-assessment and growth and ownership and that's happening as you are evolving, and that just because somebody seems like they have their life together, don't make the mistake that they still can't grow from your work. Because typically it's the performers who are performing at a very high level who actually do need to be seen, not to be pitied, but there's still some growth. There's still growth because they're still alive. We're still breathing. So I think that you putting this work out there so bravely is a testament to like the caliber of people that you worked with, because you work with elite athletes, you've worked with high performing people for years, and you've also been in leadership development in your positions in really nurturing the next generation of leaders to communicate and be vulnerable and be open and be able to receive communication. And this book was like, it was like a love letter for personal development.
I just learned that. Thank you. And I'll share. It was really cute. The other day, my mom came up from Florida. She spent over 3 weeks with me, right? Just being my mom and taking care of me and everything. And she turned to me one day and she says, "I need to ask you a question." And she says, "How did you learn like everything that brought you to write the book? You know me, I'm like, oh, like I just learned it, right? And it was really like, huh, where did I learn it? How did I learn it? And it's just a culmination of coaches and books and courses and sitting and self-reflecting, right? Getting knocked down and standing back up, and but paying attention. And I think this is maybe the area that a lot of people might miss the step in their healing, is that they're so focused on that outcome of getting to the end point, of getting to happiness, to getting to wealth, to getting to freedom, that they miss the journey.
Yeah.
Really. So I hope that the book gives them the opportunity to experience the journey, because that's where the gold is.
Yeah, and the presence of, like, what happens when you get what you want. Like, there's also a level of responsibility that is, there's a level of devotion that's required, and not everybody is willing to have that to sustain it. That's why people who win the lottery just, like, lose it within a year. So, because they haven't built those muscles of resilience, and what Built Stronger does is it builds with you those muscles chapter after chapter with practices that allow you to grow stronger so long as you do the work. And that's sometimes the hardest part, is looking at those shadows. So as you've gone through this cancer journey of looking at a diagnosis, and one of my favorite things to say for the past 8 years is the diagnosis is not a death sentence. So it is actually a life sentence for allowing you to evolve into that next chapter. And so with after receiving this diagnosis and the growth simultaneously with your book, what are those layers that you already see are getting stripped away?
Interestingly, when I first was told, the first thing that popped into my head was, this was put on my path for a reason, and you're supposed to embrace it, experience it, and go with it. And I kind of was like, who's that voice? Like, said, like, who says that? And then when I started sharing it with some close people, a couple of people said to me, and I found it very profound, that you have been preparing for this your entire life. And I was like, wow, okay. And again, it was, and I don't know if I've just trained my brain to process and think so quickly this way, and to know that everything that happens is has an intention. And I could sit here and cry, which I do, because I do need to feel the discomfort. But to understand, as you said, it's, it's something I have to navigate, and still kind of waiting for that download of what's on the other side, because there's something definitely big on the other side of this.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been revealed yet.
What I find so beautiful about your transformation, Bonnie, is, do you remember what the title of your podcast episode was when you first came out?
It was from hot mess to
High performance. And I asked you, I was like, you said you were a hot mess on the podcast. Is it okay if I title it this way? Because I wanted to make sure. But, like, even though there are messy things in your life right now, I think the most beautiful transformation that I see within you is how much peace you have and how present you are now and how far you've come. And there's the resilience of the strength that you have built. And like, I know you practice what you preach. So I know you're working that book, and that book is going to work for so many other people.
think of it like finger painting. Friend of mine, that probably about a year ago, said, was it a year ago? He was like, you need to go get finger paints, and you need to just let it out. And I went to the store, I went to Michael's, and I got finger paints, and I got the paper, and I sat here on the floor, and I did 3 pictures. And the first one was just like, you could see all the frustration and the anger getting out. And then as that came out, then the second one had a little bit more swirlies, and, it wasn't so. And then the third one was literally like my handprints. And so you could literally see within maybe a half hour that I was finger painting the transformation. But if I didn't let myself get that bleh out, it wouldn't lead me to that beautiful handprints that I made. Right? So it's the same thing like with the book and with healing. Let it be dirty. Like it has to be dirty for a while
Yeah,
because
like, let it be messy.
the beauty's on the other side of messy.
Yeah, and sometimes there's beauty in the mess. I mean, Jackson Pollock, hello.
Are you saying I'm another Jackson Pollock?
You never know.
Maybe I should put up my paintings in the book next. No, I'll stick to writing. I'll let someone else do the art.
Mom's an artist now, and she's like, someone just sold a banana peel taped to a canvas for like $1 million. It's bananas,
I'm in the wrong business.
right?
Again,
So
it's all perspective.
it's all perspective, right? And so when you think of the most powerful perspective shift that you have had, or even if it's just the most basic one that you've had that you're like, I have this on a daily basis, what would you say that perspective shift is?
Oh, I think the most profound one is that I do have something that people want to hear, right? Because that's haunted me for years and years and years. And that I can, you know, share something with it and someone reads it and they come back and they're like, wow, that really sat with me. Thank you.
I think you used the best word, haunted, that it's haunted you for years. And yet, sometimes your words have been those ghosts for others that have highlighted the mirror for them. So either we get those ghosts out of ourselves and use them to serve, to haunt others with wisdom, or we let them plague us and haunt us in that space. And I love seeing the fact that you are having so much courage to send your words ghostly to haunt others with wisdom.
We could say haunt or we could say that they become the catalyst for change,
I like that better.
right? Because I write in the book that sometimes someone is our catalyst for change and sometimes we're the catalyst for change. Sometimes it's a thing, sometimes it's a person. And sometimes we, and I think even as coaches, we become that little haunted because we push. We push we push a little bit to get to that underlying layer to get them to be like, "Oh wow, that's kind of cruddy in there and I need to clean it
Yep.
out. We need to work on that."
Yep. And sometimes there's the push and then the blame that can be projected from the push, which is a fun one if you're a coach or in a leadership position where you're pushing out of love and they're not yet there. And yet even that is a catalyst. Because I see a breakthrough as like they're the little dials on a safe and you have to spin it. And if it's a really deep seated belief, like one that's haunted you, like you said, for years, that it's going to take a few dials. It's going to take some turns of the knob to be able to actually unlock it. But once you do, it's beautiful and you have your freedom.
Yes.
Bonnie, I have loved our conversation as I always love our conversations every time for 8 years of knowing you. And I look forward to 80. How old am I? I was like, we can do 80 more.
Anyway, yeah, I'll be the oldest living person on earth, but hey, let's do it.
Hey, biohacking, baby. I always love to ask, what did you love about our conversation?
Well, I always love talking to you. I love your energy. I love your smile and everything. And the depth of the questions. And you made me think about some things. Really to die. Yeah, that was not a great answer, but we'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Received. I'd love to switch into a little rapid fire. Let's see if your rapid fire has changed from 6 years ago.
Go for it.
Who is your favorite female character in a book or a movie and why?
Ooh, Wonder Woman comes to me right now. It's the first one that comes because she's just so powerful.
Yes. What a powerful mirror.
Yeah. you know? Yeah.
What person alive or alive and in their time, any person, male or female, would you want to trade places with just for a day to live in their body, be who they were, experience life through their eyes?
That's a tough one because I kind of think I like being in my body right now. So I'm going to say me because I think I've come home to finding me through all of this.
Yeah, beautiful. What is your definition of success?
I think for me, success being in a place of peace, contentment, and integrity. So knowing that putting my best foot forward each and every day and serving my clients and serving everyone that comes into my that I come in contact with the best, the best that I can.
Mm, beautiful. I wish more people had that definition of success.
Because you know what does money do for your health? If you don't have everything else in check, the money's not relevant. I think I was listening to someone the other day, who said something about how many, you know, billionaires that they were in touch with that were just, you know, miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people who aren't. And just because people have something that other people want doesn't mean that you want the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah. And
So
what do you when you leave this planet,
you
can't
ain't
take
taking none of that with you.
so so I want to know that, when it is my time that it's been great being here. And the experiences, the people I've met, the people I've worked with, the people that have, touched me that I've touched, that's more important.
What do you consider to be your kingdom or queendom?
My queendom is my tribe that I'm finding through all of this. A lot of people are resurfacing. And on a little side note, I could sit here and say they're only resurfacing, because I'm not well. And I've taken the approach of, I am so glad that you're back in my life. I have missed you. Let's catch up. So really rebuilding a tribe and getting people that I haven't seen in 30 years, high school people reaching out, wanting to connect or get some coaching, things things like that.
Amazing. Bonnie, how do you crown yourself?
How do I crown myself? I crown myself by being kind to myself, right? And honoring everything that I'm going through and feeling and being present. That's how I crown myself.
Bonnie, I have loved our conversation as I always love our conversations. Where can we find you? How can we get built stronger and get that delivered to our doorstep right now?
Find me in Connecticut. Just come on by. Come on by. I like oat milk ice cream. So bring me some ice cream. You can find me. My website is my name, strati.com. Social media links, pretty much the same. And Built Stronger can be found on Amazon. Trying to get it on Barnes& and Noble, but having a little glitch with getting it uploaded.
We can talk after.
And don't forget that there's also the journal book that tags along with it.
Yep.
So make sure if you want to do work with it. And it's really the book that I know you said you read it in one sitting, which some people do, but it's designed that you can either read it straight through or you can pick on a chapter that resonates with something you're going through or go back and reread it at different points in time. So it's one of those that you will pick up ongoing, or I hope people will pick up.
Yeah. Amazing. Bonnie, you are such a warrior for possibility. You are a walking testimony for what you preach. And I am so honored to just have known you for 8 years, and it's 222 angel numbers. Let's go. I love when that happens.
Had a wonderful teacher and coach, and so it's, you know, I've done the work, right? You got to dig
You
down,
sure have.
and do the work because you won't get anywhere unless take that leap of faith.
And you have, and you continue to. I am truly in awe of the woman that you have become because I know who you were 8 years ago. And this transformation has not been easy. and you have walked through fire again and again and again, and it is just I am in awe of you and so excited for what this book is gonna do for you.
Thank you.
As always, my fellow sovereigns, own your throne, mind your business because your reign is now.